All right, a couple of my new students have asked me to put together a video to go over a couple of the basics to get things started. So this is for our Isshinryu class. We use the Isshinryu student handbook, and this is by Leo Scott Britt III. This is the original handbook, decorations added by my children. This is second edition. I'll put a link for both of those down in the video description. But in these books, we have everything to get started with your Isshinryu training and your belt advancement. Student creed, history questions, chart 1 and chart 2, and then what you need for each belt advancement from white belt all the way up through first Dan black belt. So a lot of great information. The second edition is done in color, so you get lots of very good information and the photos to follow along. So very good. It's also color coded, if you can see there. So a lot of good updates to the second edition. The first edition has all the same information with a couple of updated tweaks that are in the second edition. So that information is all there and available. To get going on this video, I want to talk about a couple of the basics. So when we talk about Isshinryu, it is a form of martial arts, of karate, that is intended for self-defense. So we don't necessarily get into a whole lot of fancy or flashy moves. We use the moves that we do with power and precision. Every block is a strike, every strike is a block. We want to be able to be as adaptable to our situation, our surroundings as possible. So we will use techniques from any form of martial arts that we feel is justifiably usable. So karate being empty hand, we also do weapons, and we use what we want to, where we want to. Not to claim it as our own, but to understand that everyone has great skills and techniques that can be used in self-defense. To get started though, when we make a fist, very simple. We open our hand and we want to roll down from the fingertips so that our fingernails are hidden in our palm. And that is the start of a good fist. So we should be nice and tight in here, no fluff or extra flexibility, and then that thumb gets placed on top. We don't want the thumb inside, because if we do strike, then we're going to injure our own thumb. We don't want the thumb out here flagged, because it can catch on something else. So this way the thumb is in, it's protected, it's not going to get snagged on anything, but it also leaves that as a secondary, that knuckle as a secondary striking option, right? When we do strike with the fist, we want to strike with these two knuckles, this one and this one. So first and second fingers. So when we hit, it should be here. We don't want to hit down here. There's smaller bones in this portion of the hand, and they are more likely to be fractured. It's called a boxer's fracture if you break those. So we want to try to hit on those first and second. We want to have a straight line from the elbow through those two knuckles. So we don't want to hit here or like here, right? So we want to try to keep that wrist nice and straight, both directions. So straight here, and punch there. So that's number one on that. When we do our kicks, we are primarily going to use a 4-step process in our kicks. The one variant of that is going to be our roundhouse. but we'll get to that when we go through charts. What I mean by a 4-step process for our straight kick, our knee comes up high, that's step 1. Our foot goes out for the kick, toes are pulled back so we don't injure our own foot, that's step 2. Knee comes back high, step 3, and then back into our stance, step 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so those are our two striking methods that we're going to be looking at. To touch back on our punches, when we do throw a punch, if it's a straight punch, I'm going to be aiming for an opponent that is the same as myself. Straight punch, I'm going to try to punch in the sternum or the solar plexus. So here, and then for our uppercut, opponent the same as myself, but I'm aiming for the chin, so there. So from the side view, there or there. And when we throw a punch, we don't want to extend fully and have the joint stop us. We want to go just shy of that to about 90% and stop with our muscles. So, and then a recoil with that is how that should be. Same thing with the uppercut. Be there. And all of that is controlled by the muscle, not the joint. If you throw punches and extend fully and allow the joint to be what stops you, you'll end up getting sore or injured joints. Same thing with your kicks. You want to use the muscle to control the speed, the placement, and the retraction of that attack. So those are a couple of the basics to get you started. Check out the next video to learn what you need for your first belt advancement.